one, and we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Extreme Motivation, part of finding your passion through self-discovery and create your destiny. I'm your host, Carl Peter, aka Ohms the Root, and today we have a very special guest. Her name is Jenna Caldwell, and we are going to be talking about aligning yourself with your purpose. And we can start things off by Jenna introducing herself. And Jenna, you can introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Carl. Before I jump in, I just wanted to thank everybody who's watching. Thank you, Carl, for the opportunity to be able to reach out and speak to other people. I believe that we all are here to help each other. So thank you again. My name is Jenna Caldwell. I am a district manager and a holistic health consultant with Arbonne International. And my passion really is helping people discover themselves by connecting with the root of their self. And so with that, I guess what I can do is kind of dive back into a little bit of backstory about myself, if that's okay.
Yes.
And awesome. So I love how everybody has a story, right? Everybody has a journey. Everybody has a story, and no two are ever the same. So my journey actually begins basically when I was younger. A lot of our youthful things lead up to where we are today in our lives, and how we respond and do our day-to-day things usually is linked to what happened to us in our childhood. And I was actually, prior to being an Arbonne consultant, I was actually a model from the ages of 2 to 17. And when I was 17, I actually had a really bad car accident that really just shifted my life, my perspective on everything. And it kind of was like, I had to revisit my life story. And I didn't necessarily know how to go about it just at that time. So I want to kind of share a little bit about how the accident unfolded, because there's a really important aspect of it. I was actually leaving the mall from picking up my prom dress at the time, and I was getting into the vehicle and I was putting my seatbelt on. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just hear this voice as clear as day. It said, "Do not put your seatbelt on." And I thought it was the strangest thing. It never happened to me before. And I had that gut feeling that I knew I had to listen. So I reached over, I took my seatbelt off, and I scooted from the passenger seat to the middle of the seat, which was just a one-seater truck. And so I moved to the middle. And about 10 minutes into the drive, I was looking down on my cell phone. All of a sudden, I just hear my boyfriend at the time, who was driving, yell. And I look up, and then everything started shaking and vibrating, and I black out. Next thing I know, I wake up, I'm on the ground, and I see our car flipping right towards me. And it was kind of like a surreal moment in a movie, and it landed right on top of me, but it was on all 4 wheels. And I have to tell you, Carl, this was one of those moments where I think a lot of people might describe it maybe as like a near-death experience. However, I didn't, once I woke up, I was very aware. I was speaking to people, I was responding, but the experience I had was kind of indescribable, because it was more so like a really like overwhelming sense of peace and calm, and like time did not exist. I did not have a worry in the world, and I knew everything was going to be okay. I felt like I was in the palm of like my God source. And so I had always believed in God up until that, until that point, but I was always looking for a sign. Even as a young child, I was looking for some kind of like big sign, because you read about these things or you hear about it in church. And so I'm like, where's this big sign? How does God speak? And so as a journey, without getting too detailed, but basically, while I was underneath that car, experienced that moment that was nobody can ever take away from me. I knew 100% that a higher source, a higher power existed. Whatever it is for you, that was my surreal moment. And I also looked at the photos of the wreckage, and the whole side of the car where I was sitting, the passenger seat, was completely crushed in. So there was no seat. That was the point of impact where this woman had pulled out and hit us. And I truly believe that if I did not hear that voice out of nowhere, which I today believe to be my guardians or my guides, my spirit guides, telling me to listen. So if I didn't listen to that voice, if I didn't have that intuition and I did not move, I would have still been sitting there in my seatbelt like I always wear. And, it was normal, but I did it. And that's what I believe, like I knew I had a bigger purpose and I just didn't know exactly what it was going to be. So at 17 years, I broke my pelvis in that accident. So I spent about 2 weeks in the hospital. And it took me about a year to fully recover, to learn how to walk again, from the wheelchair to the walker to delaying my college career, as well as my modeling career. Like I no longer went back to modeling because I lost myself in that accident. When everything happened, my whole world shook up. And to the point where it was kind of really scary I would look at a photo of myself and I would not recognize who that person was in the photo. And they would say, Jenna, that's you. And I'm like, no, it's not. It was just really weird in that way. That's, having even your short-term memory impacted. I would watch a movie and within 5 minutes, I would forget that I watched the movie. And so I was really scared. I told myself, how am I going to make it through college if I can't even remember that I just watched a movie, But I refused to just throw in the towel and give up. My sister, who is 3 years older than me, was always kind of she was really the only person that I could look up to as far as inspiration. And I'll have to give you a little bit of background about my youth, but really I didn't have a lot of mentors in my life. So she was my mentor. She went to college before me. And so I just wanted to follow in her footsteps. I had to start with something small. So that's the only reason I went to college. I said, I don't want to be somebody who's going to be sitting on a couch and do nothing with their life. And so I went to college. And that in itself was a really tough decision because my mother raised 4 kids on her own. My dad was not in the picture until we got older. And so when I decided on going to college, I had to weigh the pros and cons of, basically I had to go with financial assistance. So I had to take out student loans, apply for whatever scholarships I could. And it was very scary. So my immediate natural ability was to be drawn to the medical field because I wanted to help benefit people's lives. I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to make them feel better. And I was thinking of medicine. But then when I saw how expensive it was for college and how long I was going to have to go, I had to kind of reshift things because I knew, again, it was all financially based off of student loans. And I had to be really mindful of that. So what I ended up doing instead, Carl, was I ended up going to school to get my degree in interior design. So my dad he's actually a professional painter. He's been doing that for over 40 years. And my mom, she's one of those women who learned how to have a great work ethic, really, really young age. So she can basically build a house from the ground up. So I learned how to do interior design things from her. And so that was kind of a comfort thing. So I said, if I can't do medicine, I can't go the route that I want to go, then I'll just stick with something that's in my comfort zone. And that was the next best thing. So that is the only reason that I went to interior design. And the interesting thing about that is after my car accident, I basically got really shy. I was really quiet versus that outgoing, model type of person. I just got quiet. And instead of speaking, what I ended up doing, and thank God for people who do artwork or people who find therapy through way of writing or journaling like yourself, Carl, because you have to have some way to speak, some way to vent, some way to release. Mm-hmm. And I found that through taking a lot of art courses in college. Art interior design is very art-based. Mm-hmm. And so these art classes I was taking was my way to speak, my way to communicate, because I was not speaking. And it was very scary, but that was how I communicated, got my degree. I did 4 years, Valdosta State University. And from there, I started this journey traveling all over the world, working for different interior design firms. And I always just felt like something was missing. I was like, you just feel like there's a missing piece, and you feel there's something more, right? And plus, I'm like, God saved me for what? Not just to design houses. I felt like it was so much deeper, of the work that I needed to do with people. So it wasn't even until 17 years later. So this, yeah, 17 years later after my car accident, before I started to figure out the way that I could really shift my perspective on life. But it started with my own health. And my health started to deteriorate when, for the last 17 years. And this wasn't until 2018 when I started to realize the impact that food had on my body. I was going at this point after my car accident. I had a broken pelvis. I had 3 surgeries, two to get the screws put in, and then 1 to have them removed. And I also now have a total of 4 curves in my spine. So I had to go to physical therapy often. I had to go to the chiropractor like 3 times a week. I have an inversion table. I still have today. I was spending 30 to 40 minutes every single morning on this inversion table. And I kind of had written myself off. And the reason I did that is because I was going to the people who I thought that I could trust. My GI doctor, my orthopedic doctor, to try to find a solution, because I was having a lot of stress on my body. I could tell my digestion was not working well. I started to get a lot of headaches, and I just chucked it up to my curve in my spine not being straight. I'm thinking there's just not good flow. And I started to get like my skin was having issues, eczema. I had like combination skin. So my body's speaking to me, but I didn't even realize it. And so long story short with that, as I decided to go on this health journey, like taking out certain foods out of my diet and just putting a pause on them, so to speak, for just 30 days. And so that's what I did. I put a pause on anything that was dairy, anything that was gluten, whey, had whey in it, or soy, or was very acidic. So I focused highly on my gut health. And I had never done anything like that before. So it was kind of scary in the beginning. You have a lot of these diets that are out there. You have a lot of trends that you hear. And for somebody who's just starting, you might get overwhelmed and not know where to start. But what I liked about what I found with the Arbonne company is that everything kind of had already been scientifically researched. It had already been done, work aligned with nutritionists and dietitian. And I believe your mom is a nutritionist as well, Carl, right? So you have the benefits of having somebody who knows the importance of what foods can really do over a short period of time. It doesn't even have to be a long period, but a short period of time, by shifting small things from what you're eating, you might see that some things you're eating as triggering like inflammation, or even it could be minor like bloating or gas, or you're not sleeping well. Just small things over the course of time start to impact our mental health. So I didn't know how bad my mental state was until I was able to clean out my gut health and start to shift to feel better health-wise with the foods that I was eating. So I was getting proper nourishment finally. I was getting my vitamins that I needed. I was getting enough water, and my skin started to notice the difference. Your body starts to absorb things totally differently when you're getting the right foods. And so once I started to realize that, it was funny because day 3 on this program, this challenge that I did for 30 days, was the very first day I woke up and I did not have any pain in my body whatsoever. And that was after 17 years. So that was not normal to me. I was like, what is this? That's when I knew, because I had written myself off based on what the doctors told me. They told me I was going to have surgery on my intestines in the future with my digestion problems. They told me I was going to have surgery on my spine with my issues to alleviate pain. I didn't have to have any of that. So when I realized I did not have to write myself off, that I could actually feel better, then my mind started to open up to the rest of life and world and dreaming. It's weird because when you hear the term dream, when I before getting healthy, when I would hear the term dream, it was just like a word to me. It was like something you strive that you want to have. Like, I want to go to travel, I want to go to a beach, but there was no real connection to a dream for me because I didn't know what my future life would feel like or be like because I was under so much stress. So I shifted that. I shifted my health. I started to, this was right around the time of all of the protests last year, is a little bit before COVID. And what ended up happening is, as I went to a downward spiral with all of the protests and things that were happening with African American like suffering, and all of this started to come back to my mind. Even though I grew up with that type of awareness, because I was born in a very southern part of Georgia, a place called Covington, Georgia. So I was born and raised in the South, and being interracial in the South was very scary. But it was normal to me. It was being treated a certain kind of way was normal to me. And so I expected it. So when it happened again last year, it wasn't that I was shocked or I was surprised. It was more so that, like, you're constantly being faced with the same thing. You're tired of that same type of treatment, knowing that your skin is still to this day causing problems, in the world. And so it's more of like, you get tired of it. You get like, when is it going to stop? It's not like, it's not a surprise. It's not a shock. You just want it to stop. And so that's where that downward spiral happened again last year. And it really caused me to start to shift, to get to the root of questioning, just simple questions for myself. Like, where did a lot of these things stem from? We don't even know how to spell our own name until somebody shows us how to spell it, right? You don't know what the alphabet is, A through Z, until somebody teaches you that alphabet. And I did that the same with like how people treat other people with hate. So we are naturally born with love, but hate is a taught behavior. And so I'm like, that in simplest form, it's just a taught behavior. If somebody teaches you how to hate somebody else, otherwise kids are like playing and they don't even care, they just like that they have some company, somebody to share their time with, right? Yep. Thank you, Carla. Yes, Carla, true. It's so true. And so, yeah, so I started to question everything. And I told myself, Jenna, you're going to ask yourself, it might sound like dumb questions, but go back to the root, go to the basics of everything. Why is certain things happening? And where did that feeling originate? Mm-hmm. And so right at this time, when I'm starting to recognize that I need to go back and start asking these questions, because my own feelings are starting to come up, and I'm starting to recognize them. I'm starting to acknowledge them. Whereas before I got healthy, I did not recognize them. I kind of pushed them to the back burner. I kind of brushed them under a rug. And I think a lot of us do, especially if you're, let's say, in a corporate world or you're working for somebody else. You really don't have that time, or we don't make the time to ask ourselves how we really feel. It's like we go, like on autopilot, right?
Right.
And by doing that for so many years, for so long, you can completely lose touch with who you are. You may not even discover who you are until you stop and pause, because you're so blinded by what's in your reality and your situation in that moment. So I made it to basically 30s, almost 35 years old, and I didn't know who Jenna was. That was scary, okay, to be in your 30s and to not know what those feelings were and what they meant, because I was so used to hiding them. And the way I was treated growing up, it wasn't something that it's not something that I would talk about, because it's not, I didn't like to stay on like negative things. And I always knew that just because somebody treated me in a hateful way or a negative way, that was not going to be what I presented to the world. So that's not how I treated other people. And so whenever I walked into a room or whenever I met somebody, I wanted to make sure that that was not the type of energy that I put off, or that anybody could judge me in that way. So that my childhood was like, I didn't talk about it. Plus, I didn't want to be seen as like a female of color. Another aspect of a reason to say that why I could be weak or anything like that. I didn't talk about my body pains. I didn't talk about my, any of the struggles that I had going on internally. I kept it all in to myself. And that was, I realized, was kind of like a ticking time bomb. When you do that, I know you talk about this a lot, Carl, not being able to vent or release or let things out. You basically kind of set yourself up for some kind of repeat pattern or repeat habit, or something's going to explode. And then, or a traumatic event happens, like my car accident, or something that happens, make us up and make us start to question things, right? So I did that. I said, I'm going to break it down to the basic things. Just start asking simple things. What do you like? You know, when you wake up in the morning, what are you grateful for? It sounds so simple, but when you don't know an answer, when you never had one for so many years, you're like, why don't I have one? You know? So anyways, but yeah, I started to do that. And I started to align that with going to a actual therapist for my mental health. And that was something that I never thought I would do before. But because I saw what happened with how my health shifted with food, and I was so opposed to it in the beginning, but when I allowed myself the opportunity to try it so I can experience it, so that I can have something to speak on for myself, then I told myself, you could do the same thing with therapy. Just because of what you hear previously about other people's experiences or negative thoughts about maybe how you're not crazy, or am I crazy, or people going to judge me because I go see a therapist, I threw it all out the door. I said, whatever, I don't care. I had to get to a place where I said, I don't care what other people think. I don't care if I feel guilty because I'm going, you're going to go. So I went there, and right before I got out of the car to go talk to my therapist, I told myself, just take expectations off the wall. Like, don't have any expectations. Don't set them. Don't visualize if you're going to be sitting on a couch, what they're going to say, how they're going to say it. Just go and see what happens. And you are in control, because if you don't want to do it, guess what? You never have to come back. But I went in there, Carl, and within maybe 20 minutes or so, you just feel this sense of like life. You know, when you find the right therapist, and don't just stop at just one. If the first one isn't right, just try another one, because I love how she has this little sign in her room, something like don't worry, we're all crazy, there's no competition. And I like that, because I think we all have a sense of like crazy, and a lot of it has to do with us being in our own heads. So I opened myself up to therapy. I started to allow that to happen. I started to seek meditation so that I can have my own experience, not just what somebody else says. I strongly believe now that we don't learn by words. We learn through our own experiences, right? So even what I'm speaking to people today, it may not even click with them, but it's something that if something resonates in particular, you need to keep trying until you find things that work for you, you know, specifically a way to vent. Like Carl loves to journal. He loves to write. Some people love to do artwork. Some people love to dance. Some people, you know, singing. Some people love to sing. Some people love to exercise. You still need to get it out, because let me ask you this, Carl, or you can pose it to the audience. What is one aspect of us that exists prior to life, during life, and after life? What is the one aspect of us?
During life, prior to life, and after life. It's our spirit.
It's our spirit. It is our soul. Yeah. And what I found to be the most interesting is that it is the least talked about. It's almost like it's taboo. It's like it's not made normal. It's not made okay. It's not made like it's an aspect of us that is meant to be here. Like that is the only reason we're able to do a lot of things, I believe, is because of our spiritual side, our soul side. So then I started to even fine tune my focus even more on what's the most important thing when it comes to, it wasn't just about getting healthy. You know, that was just a small part. It wasn't just about mental health. That was just a small part. It was about that soul connection. And you can't have that soul connection without these two. So they were all connected. So that started kind of my journey. I started to pick and choose which things I was going to start focusing on in my life, which things were adding to my life versus taking away. You know, we all are going to have those moments where we have a downside, or something comes up, something shakes us up, or we get a little down or a little kind of depressed, but you cannot stay there very long. You just can't stay there very long and be successful. So I had to find ways, little ways, not big ways, not something where you're like, I have to completely change my life overnight, but small things like if journaling, take out a journal. If you've never done it, just get a journal and just write and try it for you. Do it first thing in the morning when you wake up, or do it right before bed, and see what comes out. See what comes out for you specifically. Don't judge it by Carl's experience. Don't judge it by mine, but see what happens for you. Some people like to read books. Books can be relaxing. Books for me, I like to do the audio version of it because I get a little tired if I'm like reading it. My eyes go left to right with the book, and so I get sleepy. But I also find that's related to like your REM sleep. Like while you're sleeping, your eyes go kind of left and right when you're in REM mode, when you're in dreaming mode. So I think that is related to why I get sleepy when I read. But audios, I love. Like I thrive off of audios. I can listen to them while I'm working, while I'm cleaning, and they just give me life. So you can put on podcasts, you can put whatever it is to motivate you, just to get you to that next place of like feeling better. Not like I got to change because I got to be like perfection tomorrow, but like I need to breathe now. I need to accept what's happening now. And then I can move to the next step. What's something small that I can change today that's in my control that would make me feel good if I did it? If it's cleaning up your room, go clean up your room. It's small. There's nothing serious going on here. And I started to follow so many different incredible mentors. Carl's one of my mentors. And I met Carl through my Tony Robbins Facebook group. I think many of us did. Tony Robbins is a really big mentor, impactful person in my life. And even Abraham Hicks, Abraham Hicks was huge. She's a huge person for me because I love how she ties the spiritual aspect and isn't ashamed to talk about it. There's no guilt there. So I just took all the guards off. I stopped judging myself first. I started to realize the importance of like, you really have to pause what people say, pause what you're thinking about, negative thoughts that come up, or guilty wise. Just ask yourself, why are those things coming up? Like, it may have stemmed from when you were a child, but sometimes we don't go back far enough to figure out where it really originated and really what happened, so that we can see why it keeps coming up in life. But yeah, I don't know, Carl, do you have any questions for me? I probably can talk all day about that, but that's really what drives what I do now. And I think starting small, and also making sure that people are acknowledging the little things that they do every single day. Yep. Because you have to start small,
It's just an amazing story and an amazing shift that you did, Jenna. Like, I can actually resonate a lot with the accident you had, because I also got in a huge accident when I was 18. And that took me down a dark road for a while too, after that, with the decisions I made. And last year, about the food that you remind me, like last year was also a big challenge for me physically, because I wasn't able to get myself to the next level. I had some inflammation problems. I wasn't feeling my best physically, no matter how much I worked out, and everybody was saying, "Oh my God, you're looking huge and stuff." I was like, I'm not feeling my best though.
Yeah.
So I figured it out towards the end of the year, and it was as simple as finding out my blood type. So I found out my blood type, I'm A plus, and I got this book by Peter J. Adamo. It's called Eat Right for Your Blood Type. Mm-hmm. And I started realizing, I was like, oh my God, my favorite foods are the ones that I should be avoiding the most, And so that was huge, because I really was able to figure out what foods I should be avoiding, what foods I should be having more of. And after that, I was, there's just something wrong with the screen here. I'm adjusting the screen. Okay, there we go.
I can see you fine.
Yeah. And I went on this alkaline diet challenge. I challenged myself 10 days to go on an alkaline diet. I've never done that. I have a lot of meat and stuff. So I cut out even oatmeal, but I found out after that words that actually oatmeal is part of Alkaline. You can have oats. So I found out afterwards. But
Yes,
I had after like 1 or 2 days, I was having so much more energy, so much more focus. I was feeling like yeah, I was just feeling great. I felt like happy all the time. It was
yes,
so it was
exactly.
too.
Yes,
And so I just that 10 days really shifted my whole meal plan and the way that I feel and stuff. And
yeah,
then I realized though that my body does need a lot of protein, so I had to, still have my chicken and my meats and stuff, but I balanced it. That was
yes,
it changed everything. So I was able to balance my veggies with this and that, and
awesome.
so food makes a huge difference, not just in how you look, but like how you feel, and also with any problems that you may be having. Uh,
Absolutely.
Jenna, the huge difference that the food made for her, that's
Yeah,
just incredible. And,
yes.
um, and the questions, they make a huge difference to direct your thoughts towards taking the right actions.
Mhm.
Um, and at first it's like weird, right? Like you don't know what should the answer be?
Right.
But that's like the beauty of it, because you start to step into the unknown, and
Yeah.
you start to really discover what the answer might be step by step. You see what works for you, because um, not we have this perception of success, right? And that's like a huge another topic. I was talking about a couple weeks ago too. But we watch these motivational videos,
Yes.
and we may think that a success is based on like waking up at 3:30 in the morning, having a huge breakfast, hitting the gym, and getting all this done by 7 or 8 a.m. Not every, I mean, even though like I might be one of those people, not it doesn't work for everybody.
Exactly.
I'm not going to go ahead and say yes, because I do this, that's what works for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Everybody, just like everybody's blood type is different. Same thing with people waking up early, and what time they want to work out. Working out, after all, it's like recharging your body towards taking the right action. It's like a refuel.
Yes, exactly. I love that you say that, Carl, because even when you're trying to do like personal development or somebody's starting out, what I kept hearing left and right, especially when you're starting, like if you're starting to do your own business, all I kept hearing was, it's so big that you determine what your why is. What is this why? Why are you doing this? Who are you doing it for? All of these different things. But what I discovered on this journey is that the why didn't even matter. If you do not know who you are at the root of the root, that's why I have the self focused as like get self rooted, because you are your foundation. It's no different than you building a house on dirt. You can put the vinyl, you can put the siding up, you can put the windows, you can put the roof on. But if you had never laid that concrete foundation, and it has, or if it has cracks, guess what's going to happen? That house is not going to hold, and I think that's like a really simple example is we bypass our self. And I think a lot of it has to do with like, we spend so much time with ourselves, but we know ourselves the least, like deeply, internally. We don't ask those questions that really matter, that really get to the root of why we're actually doing something. So instead, we get sidetracked to focus on why. It might be for my child. It might be because I need income. It might be because I want to have security. But all of that is going to be a wash if you still don't know self. So it's still, at the end of the day, the most important aspect of you, which is also directly connected to that soul, that spiritual aspect that only exists, the only aspect of us that exists before life, during life, and after life. It is the only aspect. Everything else, your body, you're not going to have it when you go. Your mind, you're not going to have it when you go. So you have to really start to be mindful of what your time, where your time is really going. And what I love the most, I feel like, about COVID, when COVID happened, is that it allowed so many people to pause. But also what I loved about it is that it put almost all of us on the same playing field, or a lot of us on a similar playing field, to where there was no like, this isn't just African American issue, because once other people who were the majority actually started to experience what the minorities experience like their whole life, they couldn't last like a month or something. So now it's like they had to really pause and be like, what do we do about this? We've been trying to fight, African Americans or minorities have been trying to fight for the longest time of like, how do we get out of this hole? Because the society, the world itself is just like made for the majority. It's not made for the minority to have an opportunity to get up, and everybody thinks, oh, well, it's just an excuse or it's just whatever. But no, when you are literally like, it's the odds are against you. You can't deny that. You walk into a room, there's usually a clear difference of how you're treated if you're walking to a room of people of your color, and I've experienced that even traveling all over the world. It's even changing my hair. Like my hair is naturally super, super curly and I wear it all the time, but you would be so surprised. Like when I walk into when I was walking into the corporate room with curly hair, like the whole energy just like shifted because I had a lot. It was just crazy. And they're like, "Can I touch your hair?" I'm like, "What?" But I can't imagine like, just a normal, a white person walking to a room and asking to touch their hair. I don't know, but but I used it as like a learning experience because I realized that a lot of people did not really know because they weren't exposed to that. They're only exposed to what their environment shows them, right? But that's also the environment that taught them to hate too, or that there was some difference in that person versus that person. But when COVID hit, we all were like on the same playing field. People lost jobs, didn't matter your skin color. People had to like revisit. Then we immediately started to get assistance, some people from government, like in a short period of time, we never got like assistance all of these years but now we can because the majority was impacted, So I love how things like this happen, even though I know that there's so many losses, and my heart just goes out to all of the families who have lost somebody or who had to struggle with somebody who was impacted by COVID. But I know that that everything that happens to us, really does happen for us, and we have to be able to see why things like this are happening so that we can shift and see what was the learning aspect of it. I know you talk about that a lot too in your videos. What can I gain from this? What can I learn from this, And I think I had to start to do that at the simplest form. No matter what question, no matter what feeling came up, I just started to ask, why did I feel that way? If I start to feel guilty about something, why? I had to go back deeper. And my therapist taught me techniques and tools to go back deeper, realize what it was, like get face to face with it, acknowledge it, recognize it. But that doesn't mean you have to take it with you to the future. It allowed you to grow. It served its purpose. And now you can release it, So when you get to that place where you can start to acknowledge those things within yourself, and get raw, get true. It might feel weird in the beginning. I felt very weird because it's not like it's something somebody teaches you. And if you do, it might even feel weird that way too. But like even just meditating can feel odd if you're just starting. And a lot of people I hear talk about, meditation being like, I don't know how to quiet my mind. It was because our mind isn't meant to be quiet. But you can learn how to calm your mind. You can learn how to have a peaceful mind. And some people, what I learned is that they try to hurry up and shift to like if you're stressed right now and you try to shift to go do a meditation, that is not the best time to do a meditation. You want to do a meditation when you're already kind of relaxed, you already feel good, you don't really have a lot of stress coming up. Don't try to do it when you're like already tense and already worried. Just allow yourself to get to a relaxing place first and then try to do it, because it's going to start to get better and better. And a little tip that I like to share with people who might be interested in starting with meditation, because I was like, I can quiet my mind. I feel weird to sit for 5 minutes, even 1 minute, I felt weird. But what I did is I just went to YouTube and Carl's on YouTube now, like he's the king of YouTube. So yeah, so you can, what I start to do is just go to YouTube. We have so many free resources that we don't utilize. You can look guided meditation for anything. You can type guided meditation for anxiety, guided meditation for stress, guided meditation for loss of a loved one. It's in there. So when you start to look these things up and allow your mind to go shift to focus on something that this guided meditation is showing you how to do, you no longer are worried about pay that bill, or I got to get this job, or I got to go help this kid, you're shifting your mind to something else that's a little more of a less resistant state. And so that started to slowly allow me to do that longer and longer periods. But I had to start by hearing somebody else's voice, not just silence for me with the meditation. So I think, everybody, like you said, has to have their own journey, and find out things that work for them. Because you were talking about waking up in the morning, trying to do that. Some people, that's not their time. Some people are night people. Like, they're like, I love the way the energy feels at night. I love the moon energy. This is my time. I'm going to get up. I'm going to write. I'm going to do whatever I need to do. So you can't compare ever yourself to anyone else. So I just think that is really neat.
Yeah, everybody has a different purpose. Everybody has, we may have the same vision, same goals, same passions, but at the end of the day, the purpose that everybody has, the gift that you have, is what makes you unique. Yeah, everybody's different in a special way. And and Jenna's one of, she's showing you exactly, like, because of the challenges she overcame and what she does now. She's showing her gift to the world, and your story is your strength, Jenna. Your story is your strength. Those all those challenges you went through, they made you into the beautiful person that you are today, so that you can share this with the world, and to live with passion. And
Yes.
with that, and so today, what do you do exactly today now with
Yes.
what exactly today?
Yes. So I take people who were just like me, who were stressed or overwhelmed or didn't know where to start when it comes to gut health. I help them identify food intolerances. I do this over a 30-day span. And I kind of do it to where you don't worry about stress, don't worry about like a specific goal, but have fun with it, and then fuel and nourish your body with proper like superfoods. Superfoods and things that are really going to fuel your body and your mind in the long term. But yeah, so I think it's going to grow into something a whole lot more now that I've added the spiritual aspect, this soul side of it, which is even bigger than health, bigger than mental health, and bigger than even putting foods in your body. Because if you don't know how to nurture that aspect of yourself, none of this is going to even matter. But it's a starting point. What I do is a starting point for people. It is really just a way to reset, refresh, give yourself 30 days, put a pause on certain things that are known to cause a lot of like internal inflammation that might be acidic, again, like coffee, like Carl was talking about. It is a way to shift your body from an acidic state to alkaline form in that 30-day period. And then you can continue to move forward, whether you're vegan or non-vegan, whether you're already on this health journey, but you don't necessarily know a good way to get like nutrition, vitamins, minerals, because of a lot of our foods do lack those things nowadays due to like over farming. We don't have a lot of good quality foods here in North America. So I work with European foods. So if you are looking for a way to address your gut health and really get to the root of which specific foods are causing issues, then that's where I come in. And we kind of like identify exactly what those are. Like Carl said, you could do it by blood type, and you can also do it by exactly how your body responds when you're eating specific things. And you kind of you get in tune with who you are. And that grows to also your mindset. Your mindset starts to get, like Carl was saying, you start to get happier, you start to get more motivated. Like it impacts your mind in a way that you didn't think is possible, because now you're actually getting those endorphins in the right place, the serotonin, which is actually in our gut health, or our gut biome. The serotonin is kind of like our happy juice. And it's in our gut, and the only way that it can get to our brain is if it's allowed that transition to get to our brain. But even if you're like slouched over, the serotonin will not pass. So it's like a learning thing, but it's a starting point. It's a really easy starting point. I say it's like clean eating for dummies. For lack of a better word. It's like, how you have those dummy books and things like that. It's really like that.
Awesome. And that's where everybody has to start. We got to start somewhere. And then you take a step, like she was saying. You don't just dive into the deepest state of meditation ever on your first try. It takes practice, and even with practice still, I meditate pretty much daily, and still I don't dive into it right away most of the time.
Yeah.
It takes time sometimes. You gotta be patient with yourself, and timing is everything. You
Yeah.
know, timing is everything. You can like for me, for example, I love to read in the morning and do my workouts in the morning because I know that it's going to give me the focus and energy that I want for the rest of the day. It gets me set my mind right. For other people, that could be just like, going out for a little walk, saying what they're grateful for the day, or just pulling out a book and reading, or just waking up and having a nice breakfast before work and stuff. But the
Yeah.
most important thing is, with all our actions at the end of the day, what's the meaning that you are attaching to every action that you take? What is
Definitely.
your intentions to your actions? And are you, most importantly, aware of what you're doing? Are you aware of the stuff that you're doing during the day? Or is the day just passing you by? And then you're
Yeah.
wondering, where did this day go? And what did I do with my day differently than yesterday? So
Exactly.
every single day, there's like so much life to live. Every single morning I tell myself, like, I'm one of those people. I don't like to sleep. I'm like, oh my god, it's midnight already. I don't want to go to sleep. I'm like, all right, I'll get 4 or 5 hours of sleep. No,
And I
no.
bet you were not always that way, right? Now
Yeah,
that you have like a new perspective on life, you probably are like, there's so much to live, right?
there's so much juice. You get to a point where there's so much excitement that you don't even want to sleep. And that's like, and that takes that just takes you taking it step by step,
Yes.
developing the right habits, living with intentions to your actions, so that you actually have a very passionate, purposeful life, which is so much different than success. Huge
Yeah.
difference between success and fulfillment, because this way your life isn't tied to this instinct of survival that we know as money, but it's actually tied to fulfillment, which
Yes.
which will, as you live with passion and you do what you want to do, the money will follow. It's not that as important as your happiness.
Exactly. And I just want to encourage people to not write yourself off. Like I've worked with my oldest client was 83 years old. And it does not matter your age, it does not matter your state. I always tell people what you do today actually does matter. And it actually is the only thing that does matter, right? It's the
Yeah.
only thing that exists is today. So I love that Carl. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that is so true, and exactly like you were saying, find your meaning, find your and attach meaning to your actions, to give it a reason. Why do you want it? How bad do
Yeah.
you want it? And why do you want it, right?
Yeah,
And
because those feelings happen for a reason. They're coming up for a reason, but why? It's not to say that it's a bad thing, but the moment you can acknowledge why it's coming up, then you can start to appreciate yourself in ways that you never thought possible. You can it's a good idea to reward yourself on a regular basis, kind of make it like a ritual. And it can be something small. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but you need to acknowledge all of the things, the good that you're doing for yourself every single day. And like I said, it can be kind of like weird in the beginning, like talking to yourself, like thanking your heart for beating, thanking your lungs for doing what they need to do, like just all things that don't even help. Tell
yep,
yourself thank you. Put your hand on your chest and like feel your breath, and put your hand on your stomach, and like just know that your organs are like working for you every single day, and you don't even have to worry about it, and just go deeper, because you are so worth it. I know it doesn't matter where you are, even if you feel like you have even a disease or an ailment. It does not matter, because at the end of the day, there's nobody in this world that can tell you that you can't heal yourself or that you can't be better except for you. There's been people who have healed themselves out of a really dramatic situations. So it's possible, it's doable. And it's not something that happens, like I said, overnight, but you have to get yourself to a place of like acceptance, acknowledgement, allowing, being receiving, like just thanking yourself, recognizing yourself. It starts by recognizing yourself. I know a lot of us are so busy that we're just like, I got to get this business up and running. I got to do this next. I got to make sure I write my books, right? I got to make sure I do all of these things. But you need to at least make sure that you are on that checklist for the day, daily, somewhere. You need to put yourself in there. You need to put yourself on your calendar, right? just like you would anybody else. You know, if you can go and work a corporate job and you can work 30 to 40 hours a week, working your ass off, for lack of a better word, you can work your butt off because you're trying to satisfy them to make sure you get an income. But if you can't turn around and do that for you, there's a problem. And that's where you can just like sit with that and recognize it. And that's why journaling sometimes helps, because you start to see that coming up. Like, why is this coming up? Why can I do this for Joe and I don't even know him? He just hired me, but I can do this for 2 years for him, or whatever. And you can't do it for yourself. You don't even want to wake up to do your hair and or get out of a robe for the day. Why is that? Because there's no reason that you're not worth it. I mean, when the sun is out, like, go out, do small things for you. Do something that you always wanted to do, use this time wisely.
Exactly. We forget about that so much. It's like I always say in simple terms, like I say, in order to serve others, you must first be able to serve yourself.
Yes.
And that's and it's not selfish to serve yourself.
It's not.
In fact, it would be selfish not to, because then you wouldn't be generating the energy, positive energy to the people around you. To start to spread that positive energy to those around you starts with yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I was telling you, it always is that cycle. It will come back. And it's if you start to see it multiple times, that is a repeat pattern. That means it is a habit, is a belief that is probably in your head. So if you see something you don't like multiple times, write it in a journal, start to take note of it. You don't like it, so you can write it down. And what I ended up doing was something that I found to be helpful when I was going through therapy, was I made a list of things that I hate. I mean, it sounds kind of harsh, but things that you currently hate about your life, or you dislike strongly about your life, what are they? Just put them on paper, and it doesn't matter how long it is, just make the list. Mm-hmm. And then once it's on paper, you can go back and see what things are most important, and you can start to prioritize them. But then not only that, can you start to put them in like the next step? If I don't like this, like let's say, I don't know, money, because money is a big one for a lot of people. I'm not making enough money. If that's number one on your list, guess what you can start doing? You can start putting little steps together. What's the next step to where I can get to a better place and start to generate some kind of income that's in my control, not out of my control, but what can I do today? And sometimes that might just be reading a book. It might be putting yourself through some type of course that you've never done. It might be, you don't even have to necessarily go back to school for a lot of things. There's so many tools right now, but instead of getting overwhelmed, just pick up one and start. Because again, you don't learn by words. You don't learn by my words. You don't learn by Carl's words, but you will learn by your own experience. And something you might pick up or something you might hear might just completely change your life, and it will click, and you'll be like, oh, and you'll know when things hit you that is meant for you, because you'll feel the difference. It's not like it's in your head. You kind of feel it in your heart. It hits your body totally different, right?
Yeah, and it gives you like that feeling like you want to do something different, but people are afraid of taking those risks.
Yeah.
And being an electrical engineer, working at an aerospace company, and then but I've never given myself like only to focus on this degree. I'm just like so grateful. I didn't listen to the people around me and what I thought I should do and focus on security. I stayed focused on writing my book for 5 years and doing my videos at the same time while studying for my degree. And that's what many people are afraid to do. They're afraid to invest that time and energy into that because maybe you're afraid of getting a bad grade in the class, like in my case, And many of the students, they have that mindset, but I wasn't. I knew that if I was able to balance, I'd be able to make it happen. And there's a story of, the Black Eyed Peas, right? So
yes,
will.i.am, the main singer of it, now he does like solo. He actually has a story that he shared, very short story. I'll share with you. His mom used to come and see him making music, right? And she'd be like, "Why don't you go get a real job?" He said, I do have a real job, I'm just not making money with it yet. And because if you don't have the time and energy to do what you love with what you're doing, then make sure you make time and energy to do what you love no matter what.
Exactly.
One of my influencers from YouTube, his name is David. I can resonate with his story a lot because he was a computer engineer and I'm an electrical engineer. And
Uh-huh.
he was working for 2 years at the computer engineering company. They're about to promote him. And then he's like, I don't like this job. There's something missing. I'm just not passionate about it. They're like, everyone around him, are you crazy? They're going to give you this great position and stuff. He's like, I don't want it. I don't want it. So he quit his job. And what does he do? He goes to personal fitness training. He doesn't make as much money, but he gained experience in sales. He gained experience in fitness because he was passionate about fitness. And during that time, he started, doing stuff on podcasting, some
Mhm.
vlogging, but he really wasn't connecting with it because he was still not working for himself. He wasn't able to share his passion with
Yeah,
other people. So what he
that's
did was he said, you know what? I'm gonna quit all of this and I'm gonna show people why I love what I do and show them how to achieve their goals. So he invested all his money in YouTube equipment and then he started filming and now he's got over 1 million subscribers.
awesome.
So like
Love it.
you can't be don't be afraid of taking risk,
Yeah,
it's your intuition is usually guiding you to take the right decision, and always the right decision is usually the harder decision to make.
exactly.
And that's what separates, that's what separates the pack basically.
And that's what I mean. You'll feel that connection with your soul. If it's connected to your soul or not, you'll know. And so I'm so glad that he just like took himself out of that situation. I love that you were just like, you recognize when something started to add to your life, it fuels your life, you continued to do it. And it was smart to do that because when you do that, you're allowing yourself to continue to grow. But if you were to have stopped and you would have kept doing something you didn't like, that all that does is literally put a cap on it kind of stops you right where you are. But you kept doing your videos, you kept writing your books, you kept doing and motivating other people. So you were essentially growing. You're growing yourself while you're helping other people at the same time is even the most beautiful way to do that. You're sharing it with the world. You're sharing you with all of us. And I just want to say, thank you in like a blanket statement because that is huge. And I know it is scary. I know we've all had traumas and we've all had something that we survived through. But the moment that you start, like you said, to just lean in to yourself, recognize that something is a little bit off, and to know that really there's nobody coming at that front door to knock and say, all right, it's time to go. It's time for you to wake up. Wouldn't that be nice? All right, knock, knock. Well, we got the cure for your disease right here. It
Right.
doesn't work like that. And the only person that can shift it is you. So I'm just so thankful that our paths crossed, Carl, because and the opportunity to do this, because I know it's just going to continue to grow. And thank you so much to your audience for tuning in. Did any questions come in?
This has been a beautiful, interview and live with Jenna Caldwell. If you guys have any questions, we could start doing Q&As right now.
Yeah.
And those years those years, they're called years of preparation because you're not going to wake up one day with the body you want doing nothing about it. It takes a plan.
Yeah.
You got to be disciplined. You got to have execution. And then you start to develop the habits and you start to learn about your body and what works for you with the meal plans and workout plans.
Yeah.
It's preparation that's going to get you to where you want to be. If I didn't do those videos all those years, I wouldn't be, on camera as comfortable as I am today and sharing my story, publishing my book, and all that stuff.
Exactly.
It takes time. If you want to wake up with $1 million in your pocket, it's not going to happen the next morning you invest 1,000 into a program. It happens. But what you can do is wake up with a millionaire mindset. And that's what's going to get you to where you want to be.
Yeah.
You're going to start directing your thoughts to take the right actions, and you start to live more purposefully, and you start to enjoy what you're doing more, because this way, that's how you know that you really want it, that's something you love to do when you work so late, and when you wake up with that kind of mindset that you just don't want to stop doing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Carla says that you've answered my question.
Oh, awesome.
Wondering what was your question, Carla? What was your question? And let's give some shout outs to everybody that signed in with us today.
Thank you.
With Carla Lowry, Heini Tat. We have also Crystal Simmons. We have we also have Diana Buxam was here. Summer Nez, we have Farah Rajput, and we have Teresa Stephen, and
Nice.
Payne, Yannette Smith, and maybe some other people too who weren't, didn't make it in the comments
Yeah.
of the StreamYard. But Carla says, pure inspiration here. Help me.
Oh,
Thank you, Jenna and Carl.
so
Thank
well.
thank you, Carla, for tuning in, and you're welcome.
She's always showing up. Carla always shows up. I love her.
Yeah, Carla's awesome. And
She is.
thank you, Jenna, for coming on and sharing your very
Wow.
inspiring story with all of us.
Thank you.
Again, we'll be taking Q&A, guys. In the meantime, if you guys haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Extreme Motivation. This is where we do lives once a week with people like Jenna. And I also upload videos here on a consistent basis. I'm getting ready to relaunch with that content in a week or two. If you guys haven't picked up my book yet, it's out now. Escape Your Past, Create Your Destiny. I'll provide the link for you guys in the description of the videos. And if you'd like to be a guest on the channel, please email me at createyourdestinypodcast@gmail.com. And if you guys like to reach out to Jenna, connect more with her. Jenna, if you have anything else, also share with us. But she has a Facebook group. It's called, did I spell it correctly?
Yep, you did.
Jenna's Live Well Community. That is on Facebook. That's her group. You guys can obviously connect with her on her page at Jenna Caldwell.
Yep. And also the same on Instagram is _ Jenna Caldwell. Yeah.
All right. So I'll type it down for them here. Jenna _ Caldwell on Instagram.
So you want to do the @ symbol _ Jenna Caldwell together. Yeah.
Yes. And that way you guys can connect with her on Instagram as well.
You still have it wrong, Carl.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, after the @ symbol is the _ Yeah. Sorry.
It's _ Jenna and then
yeah, Jenna Caldwell together. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right. So it's like this then, right?
There you go. Yep, that's it.
All right. Awesome.
You guys are awesome.
We have comments coming in. Carla says, "Love you, Jenna." Rajput says, "Thanks, Carl and Jenna, for this motivational discussion." You're welcome, guys. Yeah, this was really a great topic to talk about, and and that's the beauty of connecting with like-minded people. This is this is what we bring, and when you are yourself, you have these beautiful gifts to share with the world and your story. And Jenna's is one of never giving up. Jenna's is one of shifting her perception to make these huge shifts in her life by discovering what could she do better on a daily basis, and that led her thoughts to taking the right actions. And Jenna, I'd love for you to end with any message that you like to tell everybody before we sign off.
Yeah, just totally again, I cannot stress enough, you are worth it no matter what anybody says. If you don't have anybody else in your corner, reach out to me because I will be in their corner. And also, anybody who's looking to start on this health journey and you just don't know where to start, reach out to me on any of those networks. And just as an offer for thank you, for being on here, for Carl for doing this, I would love to offer anybody who does place an order with me. I will throw in a free gift and I will let you get to choose just to make it fun, because I believe that, getting healthy, like I said, it should be about having fun and enjoying it, because that's what's going to allow it to be sustainable. Nobody wants to continue to do things that are stressful or worry or make you have headaches or make you feel like your body's under some kind of stress. You don't want that, So we want to change things. We want to start small. We want to know that we have control. You have the ability to do and make any decision that you want to today, and just welcome that, acknowledge it, welcome yourself, start small, reach out to me. It could be just a conversation. We don't have to do anything crazy, but that's what I'm here. This is my purpose. That is why I was saved. I strongly believe it is to make sure that I reach out to anybody that might be of need. And it had to start with me. Nobody, what did Carl say? Basically, you're your best topic. You're so worth it. you know. What's the phrase too, when you're hearing a lot of motivational speakers, they say if you're like the 5 closest people around you is probably more like who you are like, right? Something like that. But and you should have like 3 best friends or something. But if one of those best friends is not you, then just forget it. Don't even go out and make friends. You know, to be honest, don't go make friends, you know. But if you need somebody to
know yourself first, you have to be best friends with yourself first.
Yeah, if you're going to pour into anything, just pour into you, you know. And I understand that it can be challenging, it could be hard, but Carl's an example, I'm an example. We've heard so many different examples of like where it can be challenging, but challenging doesn't mean it can't be done. So we are proof, you know, we are proof. And I love you guys. Thank you guys. Reach out, connect, let's talk, let's just do life, you know, let's enjoy life.
And remember, guys, she will throw in a free gift for you guys, like she was saying, and I'm sure she'll provide it for me to share with you guys. With that being said, thank you so much, Jenna, for coming on and sharing your inspiring story with everybody.
Thank you for having me, Carl.
You're welcome, and stay safe, everybody. Stay strong, stay focused, stay grateful, and have a phenomenal day. We'll see you all next time on Extreme Motivation. Peace out. Bye.